Andrew stood before the crystalline throne, his human frame dwarfed by the towering architecture of the Vakari Palace. The alien queen Zelthera regarded him with her multifaceted eyes, each facet reflecting a different spectrum of light that humans could barely perceive. Her chitinous form gleamed like polished obsidian, and the neural crown atop her elongated head pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that spoke of ancient power. Human Andrew, her voice resonated through the chamber, translated by the neural implant behind his ear. You have done what no warrior of the Vakari Imperium could accomplish. You ended the Scourge incursion that threatened to consume 17 star systems. Andrew shifted uncomfortably in his tattered combat suit, still stained with the ichor of creatures that had no right to exist in sane reality. Behind him, Samantha watched from the observation alcove reserved for honored witnesses. Her green eyes tracked every movement, every subtle shift in the political theater unfolding before them. I only did what needed to be done, Your Radiance, Andrew replied, keeping his voice steady despite the weight of 1,000 alien gazers upon him. The queen rose from her throne, her 6 limbs carrying her with fluid grace down the steps. She towered over Andrew, easily 3 meters tall, her presence commanding absolute attention, modesty. How quaintly human. She gestured, and a hovering attendant brought forth a case of liquid metal. The Vakari Empire does not forget its debts. For your service, we grant you the Shard of Eternium, fragment of our homeworld's core, worth more than 50 terrestrial planets. Andrew accepted the case, feeling its surprising warmth through his gloves. In the alcove, Samantha's breath caught. With that single gift, Andrew had just become one of the wealthiest beings in known space. But the queen wasn't finished. She leaned closer, her alien features unreadable to most. Yet Andrew had spent months among the He recognized the slight parting of her mandibles, the way her neural crown dimmed signs of something beyond mere political courtesy. There is more, Zelthera continued, her voice dropping to a frequency that bypassed the public translation systems and spoke directly to Andrew's implant. The Vakari, mate for life, human. We choose our consorts based on strength, cunning, and the ability to ensure our legacy across the stars. Andrew's heart hammered. He glanced towards Samantha, whose expression had gone very still. When you infiltrated the Scourge hive ship, the queen whispered, close enough that he could smell the strange spice scent of her biology. You displayed cognitive patterns that fascinate our xenopsychologists. Humans think differently, laterally, chaotically, beautifully. You see solutions where we see only impossible variables. Your radiance, I, silence. It wasn't harsh, but absolute. The queen's multifaceted eyes swirled with colors that meant desire in Vakari culture. For your service, by imperial law, I may offer you a place in my court, as consort, as the father of a new generation that bridges our species. The chamber fell deathly quiet. Every Vakari present understood the magnitude of what had just been proposed. A human representative of a species barely 3 centuries, into space travel being offered a position that alien nobles spent, millennia competing for Dot. Andrew felt the weight of history pressing down on him. He thought of Samantha waiting in the shadows, of Earth still recovering from the wars that had nearly destroyed it, of the impossible choice before him. I am honored beyond measure, Andrew said carefully, but I must decline. The queen's neural crown flared bright crimson surprise, perhaps anger. You refuse. I cannot be what you need me to be, Andrew explained, meeting her alien gaze without flinching. My loyalty, my heart, they belonged to another. To my homeworld, to someone who stood by me when the universe seemed intent on crushing humanity into dust. Zelthera studied him for a long moment. Then, remarkably, her mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. So even this cannot sway you. How perfectly, maddeningly human. She pressed something into his palm, a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. A personal communicator keyed to my private frequency. Should you ever reconsider, or should you face challenges beyond mortal reckoning, call me. The Queen leaned in one final time. Close enough that only Andrew could hear her whispered words. Delivered in flawless, unaccented English. I should have claimed you first. Before she had the chance to capture what I now see, I can never possess your utterly human, utterly stubborn heart. Andrew felt a chill run down his spine as Zelthara pulled back, her public demeanor restored. Go with our blessing, human. The stars themselves will remember what you accomplished here. The ceremony concluded with traditional Vakari honors, but Andrew barely registered them. As he left the throne room, Samantha fell into step beside him, her expression unreadable. She offered you the universe, Samantha said quietly as they walked through the bioluminescent corridors. She did, and you chose Earth, chose us. Andrew stopped, turning to face her. There was never a choice, Sam. The Queen saw strength in humanity because we're too stubborn to know when we're beaten. But that same stubbornness means I could never abandon what matters most. Samantha's carefully controlled expression finally cracked, and she smiled a real smile that reached her eyes. You're an idiot, Andrew Chen. Probably, he agreed, pulling her close. But I'm a human idiot, and apparently that's worth something. As they made their way back to their ship, Andrew pocketed the Queen's communicator. Somewhere in the palace behind them, Zelthera watched them depart. Her neural crown pulsing with patterns that meant both regret and respect. Humanity had proven itself. Once again, not through conquest or superior technology, but through the inexplicable, irrational loyalty that bound their hearts together. And across the galaxy, other species would learn what the Vakari Queen already knew. Humans were dangerous, not because of what they could do, but because of what they would never surrender, their humanity, the end.